Looking over it again now, I think I might have actually skipped a chapter. I thought I had gotten through 1 Kings 5 and all that by the end of my last session, but now I don't think I did. I think I only got through the end of chapter 4. If this is at some point when I organize these videos, if this is a redundant video, I won't upload it later maybe, but I'm going to go ahead and read 1 Kings 5 now because I don't think I read that last time. I think I missed this chapter and the equivalent chapter in 2 Chronicles 2. This is a preparation for building the temple. This is where he got the stuff and got the help to actually put it together. This is after his encounter with God, in which he asked for wisdom, which you read about in 1 Kings 4. And it's between so this is between that and the building of the temple. This is where he's getting the stuff and getting the help he's going to be putting to use to build the actual building. When Hiram, king of Tyre, heard that Solomon had been anointed king to succeed his father David, he sent his envoys to Solomon because he had always been on friendly terms with David. Solomon sent back this message to Hiram. Now, Hiram is in the Phoenician area. Tyre and Sidon are Phoenician cities. Phoenicia was a pagan Gentile nation on the coast of Israel, north of Philistia. Now, they had, up to this point, the Israelites had not really fought the Phoenicians. They will eventually. They always do. But up to this point, they had peaceful terms with the Phoenicians. Up to this point, they had not come to blows with the Phoenicians. They will eventually. But as of this point in time, they had not. That is one enemy nation that they had more or less made peace with, and up to this point had peace with. Solomon sent back this message to Hiram. You know that because of the wars waged against my father David from all sides, he could not build a temple for the name of the Lord his God, until the Lord put his enemies under his feet. So we've read before that David could not build a temple for the Lord because he was a man of war. Some of it's because of the blood that he shed. He was not qualified to build the temple of God because of the blood that he himself shed. Some of it was because he was too busy fighting battles. He had to build and establish the empire and the conditions necessary for someone else to come in and have the peace to build the temple. So in this case, we're looking at it as though David's wars were defensive wars, necessary to establish peace for Israel. In other instances, it looks like it was more about him being a man of blood who had shed too much blood. Both things could be true. But now, well, it could be just two ways of looking at the same thing even. But now the Lord my God has given me rest on every side, and there is no adversary or disaster. There's nothing hindering him from building a temple now. I intend, therefore, to build a temple for the name of the Lord my God, as the Lord told my father David, when he said, your son, whom I will put on the throne in your place, will build the temple for my name. Not for God himself, but for the name of God. It's where his name is going to be. God himself is not confined to this temple. He is simply putting his name there. So give orders that cedars of Lebanon be cut for me. My men will work with yours, and I will pay you for your men whatever wages you set. You know that we have no one skilled in felling timber. We have no one as skilled at felling timber as the Sidonians. So the Sidonians had the resources, and they had the technical knowledge to know how to put them to the best use. When Hiram heard Solomon's message, he was greatly pleased, and said, praise be to the Lord today, for he has given David a wise son to rule over this great nation. So Hiram sent word to Solomon, I have received the message you sent me, and will do all you want in providing the cedar and the pine logs. My men will haul them down from Lebanon to the sea, and I will float them in rafts by sea to the place you specify. Therefore, I will separate them, and you can take them away. And you are to grant my wish by providing food for my royal household. So those are the wages. He wants food. Solomon will get the logs from Hiram, and Hiram will get fed by Solomon. In this way, Hiram kept Solomon supplied with all the cedar and pine logs he wanted. And Solomon gave Hiram 20,000 cores of wheat as food for his household, in addition to 20,000 baths of pressed olive oil. Now it says household. It's not referring to just his family. It means his entire court and palace. Solomon continued to do this for Hiram year after year. The Lord gave Solomon wisdom just as he had promised him. There are peaceful relations between Hiram and Solomon, and the two of them made a treaty. Stop that, cat. King Solomon conscripted laborers from all Israel, 30,000 men. He sent them off to Lebanon in shifts of 10,000 a month, so they spent 1 month in Lebanon and 2 months at home. Adoniram was in charge of the forced labor. Solomon had 70,000 carriers and 80,000 stone cutters in the hills, as well as 3,300 foremen who supervised the project and directed the workmen. At the king's command, they removed from the quarry large blocks of quality stone to provide a foundation of dressed stone for the temple. Remember, they did all the preparation of the stones at the quarry, off the temple site. When they brought them to the temple, they just simply put them in place. The craftsmen of Solomon and Hiram and the men of Gebal cut and prepared the timber and stone for the building of the temple. So Solomon is now using forced labor to begin his projects. These are non-Israelites. He did not use Israelites as forced labor, at least not this time. He's starting to act like a pharaoh, isn't he? That's what the Pharaoh of the Exodus did to the Israelites who were living in his land at the time. Solomon, now this is 2 Chronicles 2. We're going back to the account of the 2 Chronicles account of these preparations. Solomon gave orders to build a temple for the name of the Lord, and a royal palace for himself. He conscripted 70, he probably saw these two things as being two halves of the same project. He conscripted 70,000 men as carriers, and 80,000 as stone cutters in the hills, and 3,600 as foremen over them. Solomon sent this message to Hiram, king of Tyre. Send me cedar logs, as you did for my father David, when you sent him cedar to build a palace to live in. Now I am about to build a temple for the name of the Lord my God, and to dedicate it to him, for burning fragrant incense before him, for setting out the consecrated bread regularly, and for making burnt offerings every morning and evening, and on Sabbaths and new moons, and at the appointed feasts of the Lord our God. This is a lasting ordinance, Ridley. You can tell the chronicler was a priest, can't you? Whoever wrote the book of Chronicles, whether it's Ezra or somebody else, whoever was the chronicler, he was very much a priest and was very interested in making sure we always remember the proper priestly protocols for everything. That part of Solomon's letter wasn't recorded in 1 Kings, or in Kings, but it is here in Chronicles. The temple I'm going to build will be great, because our God is greater than all other gods. But who is able to build a temple for him, since the heavens, even the highest heaven, cannot contain him? So God is not going to actually live in this temple. His name will dwell there. He will set his name there, but he himself is not going to be there. Not to any degree that he's not anywhere else. He is not going to be confined or contained in this temple. Who then am I to build a temple for him, except as a place to burn sacrifices before him? Send me, therefore, a man skilled to work in gold and silver, bronze and iron, and in purple, crimson, and blue yarn, and experienced in the art of engraving, to work in Judah and Jerusalem with my skilled craftsmen whom my father David provided. So David got a lot of this stuff ready. Solomon wants more. He wants more stuff. He wants another guy, but he's got a lot of the infrastructure already in place. Send me also cedar, pine, and algum logs from Lebanon, for I know that your men are skilled in crafting timber there. My men will work with yours, to provide me with plenty of lumber, because the temple I build must be large and magnificent. I will give your servants, the woodsmen who cut the timber, 20,000 cores of ground wheat, 20,000 cores of barley, 20,000 baths of wine, and 20,000 baths of olive oil. Hiram, king of Tyre, replied by letter to Solomon. Because the Lord, he's using the capital letter Lord here, so he's using the covenant name of God here. Because the Lord loves his people, he has made you their king. And Hiram added. Now Hiram probably acknowledged that the God of Israel did exist. By and large, in this day and time, you didn't disavow the knowledge of existence of other nations' gods. So Hiram, no doubt, believes that the God of Israel exists and is doing these things for Solomon. He just doesn't probably feel any personal loyalty to that God. And Hiram added, Praise be to the Lord. There's that capital L-O-R-D, Lord again. The God of Israel, who made heaven and earth. He has given King David a wise son, endowed with intelligence and discernment, who will build a temple for the Lord and a palace for himself. I am sending you Huram-Abi, a man of great skill, whose mother was from Dan, it's a tribe in Israel, and that's at the north. Now, Dan wasn't supposed to be at the northern end of Israel, but they moved there when they couldn't take their own allotted land. So they're up close to Tyre, which is the north of Israel, whose mother was from Dan, and his father was from Tyre, so he's mixed, he's half-breed. He is trained to work in gold and silver, bronze and iron, stone and wood, and with purple and blue and crimson yarn and fine linen. He is experienced in all kinds of engraving and can execute any design given to him. He will work with your craftsmen and with those of my lord, David, your father. Now this is very similar when we read about that guy, Bezalel, and his assistants who put together the stuff for the tabernacle. Now let my lord send his servants the wheat and barley and the olive oil and wine he promised, and we will cut all the logs from Lebanon that you need, and will float them in rafts by sea down to Joppa. You can then take them up to Jerusalem. Solomon took a census. That's it for King Tyre's letter. Solomon took a census of all the aliens who were in Israel after the census his father David had taken, and they were found to be 153,600 men. He assigned 70,000 of them to be carriers and 80,000 to be stonecutters in the hills, with 3,600 foremen over them to keep the people working. So there we do get it specifically that the foreigners, the aliens in Israel, are the ones being put to work making this stuff. Not the Israelites. At least not yet. Solomon basically taxed the people by making them do labor. That was the form of tax that he imposed on them at that time.